Thank you for joining me again. So, today's talk is on thoughts are real, but not necessarily true. In the previous talk, I spoke about, bringing awareness to our thoughts and how we can get stuck in repetitive thought behavior patterns, that could be playing over and over in our minds. And I gave you a little practice on how to pretend like you're that cat waiting at the hole for that mouse to come out, and just bringing awareness to when you start to get trapped by a thought. So we went over that exercise, and to also count your thoughts. So it's just a little bit more in depth of talking about how we can just get stuck in these repetitive thought behavior patterns. And I myself, in my experience, have do it over and over. And a perfect example of that could be, you're waiting for a phone call from somebody that you called. It could be about a job interview. It could be a romantic partner that you had a date with. And, I notice for me, it's like I can get anxiety if I don't hear back from that person. And if I don't hear back, I start to turn inward, like, why aren't they responding? What's wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Did the interview go okay? Could I have done better? And so we automatically, depending, what our repetitive thought patterns are, we go into this constant cycle of, whether it's worry or planning or stress or I'm not enough, or I'm not, smart enough, which essentially is I'm not enough. And we can just get stuck there. And as I mentioned before, in the previous class, is just when an emotion arises, like, okay, anxiety's here, or fear is here. And if we just recognize that it's here and let it be here, acknowledge it's here, and, an emotion feeling state comes in waves, and it will come and go in up to a minute and a half, and it's gone. But as soon as that feeling state is, whether it's stress, anger, anxiety, sadness, what perpetrates or what keeps it going is that we just get stuck into that thought pattern, right? So again, if we learn to just acknowledge that the thoughts are here, the biggest thing of waking up and creating freedom to your thought patterns is to recognize and accept that we do have an ongoing movie in our own minds, where we're the star in that movie. And sometimes it could be what we're doing wrong or right, or what others are doing wrong or right to us. But, as soon as we notice that we're going down a repetitive thought pattern where we're repeating something, looping about something, the freedom really lies into noticing when you've gone down that rabbit hole, as I like to call it sometimes. And, once we notice, which is that first wing of awareness, right? Once we notice that the thought pattern's there, how can we bring just love to what's here and bring an openness to it, and be okay with whatever thoughts that are coming in our mind, and create a space of non-judgmental love towards yourself. Because if we notice that we keep going back and forth to the same thing, and we get down on ourselves for going back into the same thinking pattern, it's not good. It's judgment, and then there we go again. So which can just spiral down that hole. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. So it's really just allowing what's here and being okay with exactly what's going on in your experience. When we learn to just maybe notice that, oh, I'm thinking those same things again. And as soon as you notice, it's like bring your attention to something in the present moment. Your breath, listening to the sound, feeling the rise and fall of your belly, maybe listening to the sounds around you, or just going outside and feeling the sun on your face. Just waking up for just that moment to the reality that's here. Because it's like, again, we can just get so lost in our thoughts. And, like I've mentioned, we're supposed to, in meditation, stop thinking. Well, it's so easier said than done, right? But the first step to awareness is noticing, just noticing. And that second step is maybe once you do notice, pause and just bring your attention to the present moment in any way that feels safe and right and comfortable, which again could be your breath, sounds, maybe the sensations in your body. And just really letting it be okay. The more we learn how to be okay with ourselves and the way we are showing up, that right there for me is the most spiritual awakening we can do for ourselves, is to just be okay with just the way we are. Whether we're thinking too much, crying too much, angry too much. For me, it's just about letting that be okay. Just knowing there's nothing to fix, nothing to do, nothing to change. Just allowing for ourselves to be just the way we are. Because when we get into conflict over our thoughts, trying to push them away, like stop thinking about that call, or stop thinking about that person or that interview, or whatever it is, the more we keep telling ourselves to stop thinking about that, the more it's going to come back over and over and over again. You don't want to be at war with your thoughts. Learn to befriend them. And as you start to befriend them, allowing them to be here, maybe then you can say, all right, I see you are very worried about that interview. Why don't we sit down and you tell me about it? What's coming up for you? And maybe get to know why that thought keeps repeating. Okay, but the first thing is just bringing that awareness, acknowledging you're lost in thought. Once you acknowledge, that is the first step to freedom right there. So pat yourself on the back. Be so proud of yourself, because when we notice, that is the beginning of so much beautiful things, so many beautiful things. And this is just through my own experience, okay? So when we notice we're lost in thought, that second really important thing is to, again, bring this non-judgmental, loving curiosity as to why it's there. And sometimes, what really helps for me in my practice is to write them down. Write those repetitive thoughts down. When we name it and we can put it on paper, not trying to fix it, but when we do that, it gives it less power of us because we're no longer stuck in it. Now we can look up at it objectively, and we're maybe even putting it on that workbench, and we can come to it later. All right, so again, just noticing, letting it be okay with that non-judgmental, loving curiosity as to what's here. And then once you do that, bringing yourself to presence by taking a deep breath, going outside, listening to some sounds around you, or any sensations in your body. All right, I hope that helped. And please, if you have time, check out my meditation on thoughts. Have a beautiful and blessed day.